Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. So the other day I was looking for something. I don't even remember what it was now, but I ended up stumbling upon a piece of ancient technology that you can put on your wrist that I had never encountered before. Now, in the past, I've discussed a fossil sundial watch, so we've seen those, and I figure we would look at what other types of sundial watches there are out there, and then I was gonna dig up some more of this particular ancient technology that I had stumbled upon. So we'll begin with sundials, and the last two in this category are actually really cool. I mean, I would like to own one of the last items on here, so let's dig right in. Heads up on these sundial watches, they're all pretty piratey. I found most of these on Etsy. I had one from somewhere else, but the link had gone bad, or I couldn't pull up the image to grab a copy of it for this video. Some kind of technical difficulty. And there are plenty of other pieces that look fairly similar to that one that I found on Etsy, so we'll just go through these. So the first one that I have is actually a sundial pocket watch, which I feel is much more useful since you have to lay it flat and you have to rotate it so that it's facing the correct compass directions. Yeah, of all of these pieces, this is the one that you could probably actually use. The other ones are just kind of a crazy idea and kind of fun. And who doesn't like mountains and a rolling stream? And this one, I have a little movie clip that was posted to Etsy. This one's actually really useful too. I mean, it's on your wrist, so getting it level and facing the right way, you'd have to kind of turn yourself around, but that reminds me of a childhood song. What's amazing about this one though, is it has a compass built into it, which looks pretty cool. I mean, you would have to go pretty gentle on this, I feel. Wouldn't that compass just break the first time you do a rapid movement with your wrist? No making cocktails while you're wearing this one. But yeah, I like the look of this one. It looks pretty cool. And the compass, assuming you don't break it. I mean, there were vintage watches that had compasses on them. So maybe it's constructed strong enough to handle life on your wrist? I don't know. As a bonus, there's some etching on the back of the case with some instructions on using it, complete with per month directions. That's pretty cool. And the next one that I found is for the metalhead pirate person. This piece is definitely metal. And the indices on this one reminds me of the etchings on Sauron's ring. I feel like that leather cuff is very fitting for the aesthetics of this sundial watch. It actually looks kind of cool in that wrist shot. I feel like members of pirate metal bands should definitely be wearing these when they're performing. And if you're a large watch lover, this next one is for you. I mean, look at that thing. It's almost like wearing a sextant on your wrist, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's just a compass and sundial. So this one actually might be the most functional of all of them. This is actually akin to a vintage, real sundial setup, but I'm not quite sure how it works. There is a video. Maybe that shows. Never mind, the video was not so helpful. The strap they put it on is pretty cool looking. We have the double buckles there, but it is so massive. Look at how far it hangs over the edge of this person's wrist. It does not look comfortable at all. Okay, these last two are actually pretty cool. So the next one we have a contemporary looking sundial watch, the Solar Time by Helios. There weren't very many pictures of this watch online though. I found a white dial variant, and apparently you can still get this one. It costs 70 pounds. What is that, like 80 something US dollars? Something. But if you wanted to buy one, it is amongst the links in the show notes. However, I also found a picture of a really cool looking black dial one. It doesn't have a compass, but it does let you know which direction of the watch has to be pointed north. And it just looks super cool. A contemporary looking sundial watch. But the coolest ones that I found were from an Etsy shop where they retail for about 82 pounds. So 90 something dollars, $100. I don't even know what the conversion rate is. Maybe I should put it up on the screen. But what's wild about these is they actually don't have a sundial arm on them. They have indices that are etched into the case all the way around the edge. And they're done in a fun, old-timey font, kind of whimsical looking. And in the center is a jewel, a rounded jewel. And what's so absolutely amazing about these is how they operate. So check out this picture demonstrating how they work. The sun shines through the gem and focuses on where the time is. So kind of like using a magnifier out in the sun and it focuses the sunlight to a point. These do that. So these gems will focus the sunlight into a little point, pointing at the time. That is so cool. And they're available with different colored jewels. They're a little bit spendy for what they are, but what a really cool concept. If you've enjoyed this video so far, we're all a bunch of watch nerds here, talking about all kinds of watch-related topics. You should join us by hitting the subscribe button. And if you've made it this far, congratulations, you've spent a bunch of minutes looking at little tiny sundials. You should celebrate by hitting the like button. So like I mentioned, I don't even recall what I was actually searching for when I came across one picture of crazy ancient technology that you can wear on the wrist. And it's the last item on this list that I saw that inspired this entire video. And if I could buy one, I absolutely would. But I cannot. You'll understand when we get to that one in just a few minutes. But I went down a whole rabbit hole looking up other similar items and found some interesting things. So the ancient technology on the wrist that I stumbled upon was an abacus watch. So it doesn't really tell the time, but it's kind of like a calculator watch from the ancient world. Only it doesn't tell time. So it's a calculator on your wrist. However, Yanko design does give us an actual abacus watch. And it's this crazy sci-fi looking piece. So in the center of this watch is the abacus, and around the edge of the dial we have date, day, and time. So at about the 11 o'clock is the time, 12 o'clock is the date, and then running along from 12 to 5 o'clock are the days of the week, highlighting the current day. There are 2 pushers and a crown, and the lugs are a crazy looking design. And it looks like even though the lugs are so unique and odd, it appears that they use standard spring bars. And this particular watch was designed by Ashan Kothari. I'm trying to see if these were actually produced and sold, because I don't see anything on pricing or anything. The article I found on these simply talks about the abacus, where it's pointed out the abacus is believed to have been invented as early as 2400 BC by the Babylonians, which apparently is 1,000 years before people started using sundials. There's the tie-in. And I didn't realize that sundials were developed by the Egyptians. I do love ancient Egypt, so that's pretty cool. They discuss how to use an abacus a bit, but I don't see anything on availability, pricing, or anything like that. There is a cool looking purple variant. The next little bit of wearable abacuses that I found was an abacus ring. So that abacus is so small you have to use a pin to adjust the little beads on it. And that looks pretty cool. That would be pretty cool to wear an abacus as a ring. And these next two are actually bracelets, which makes sense because these really aren't watches. They're a calculating tool that's on your wrist. So the first one is an abacus that actually wraps all the way around your wrist. This would be a great conversation piece for a lady to wear at dinner parties or cocktail parties. And I found this on First Dibs. So this is actually a vintage Jean Paul Gaultier. And when it was available, it was listed for about $1,000. By the way, the ring that I had found was actually in a Huffington Post article. I also found this interesting abacus bracelet on Pinterest, and the link didn't take me anywhere, so I don't know anything about it, but it's a really cool looking design. And it almost has a mid-century vibe to it. So ladies, there's your cocktail party bracelet. Okay, here's the one that I would actually purchase if they were available. The problem is, where I happened to find this was as simply a photograph on a site called Minute Media, but I also found it on a site called Haha Bird. Hilarious. And the reason that you can't purchase it is this was an article on how a guy built this. So he 3D modeled and then printed the case. And I have some pictures of the entire process. So there's the original 3D design. There it is as a rough print. There's a shot of the pins that he used. And another one of applying glue for the cross piece. And you can see the pins are already in place there. And there's the cross piece attached. And there, after a bunch of cleanup, sanding, and finishing, we have the final product on what looks almost like a Seiko or Timex type strap, which is perfectly fitting for this design. This design looks like a Casio abacus. It just looks so cool. I would totally love to have one of those and wear it. It would be hilarious and cool. And I could calculate tips when I'm out and about. So there you have it. Some fun with ancient technology that you can strap onto your wrist just for kicks. Thanks for watching.